Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So this video can be summed up as I'm a black woman, all white people need to chill out my channel, and me, why aren't I making enough money on YouTube? Everyone's racist against black people. So yeah, let's jump into it, shall we?
So, happy Pride to all my rainbow folk out there. And specifically, shout out to all my black rainbow folk out there. We see you, we hear you, you're valid, and we love you.
Think if a white person said that. Oh, hello to all the rainbow folk out there, especially you white rainbow folk. This same individual would be calling them a bigot, but hey, it's completely fine because she's black.
So, I just want to make a video real quick because this is such an epidemic, and especially among liberal and leftist audiences and people who like to fight on the behalf of the black community, but they tend to focus on one part of the fight and ignore the other half of the fight.
You might have noticed she speaks incredibly slow, so I've sped up this video to 1.37 times the normal speed, as if I hadn't, we'd probably still be watching this video when the end times come about. So she's gonna sound like a chipmunk, but at least she's finally speaking at normal speed. And for reference, maybe this is why you don't get so many views and shoutouts, because you talk insanely slow.
So what I mean is that a lot of the times we'll have white allies focus on checking other white people. You know, if you go on their channel, you'll see a lot of rebuttal and takedown videos of white conservatives saying a bunch of bigoted shit. And if you go on their Twitter pages, you'll see a lot of like dunking on really nasty bigoted tweets from well-known conservatives and bigots, which is a good thing. You know, I'm not saying that that's not productive. It is. Like, it is your job as a white person to check the people among you in your community who are actively upholding white supremacy and white supremacist rhetoric.
So what you'll also notice about this particular individual is she is insanely entitled. And apparently, it's a white person's job to just call out all those darn conservatives. Am I right, Monday Matt? You know, they're just bigoted pieces of shit. So we've just got to call them all out. Seriously, if you said this to a black person, you would most likely be banned off of YouTube. Half of the shit she says, if it was said by a white person, they would be just shunned from society. But, you know, you keep saying what? You're going to keep saying white privilege? I kind of think this is showing there's a black privilege in society nowadays.
But there is another half of that fight that gets completely overlooked, and that is uplifting black and brown voices. But in this video, I'm going to focus on black voices because I'm black. So, black creatives have such a harder time gaining audiences and being recognized for our work. Like, one, when you look at leftist YouTube, makeup YouTube, DIY YouTube, you can look at farming YouTube, you know, vlogging YouTube, travel YouTube, just any sector of YouTube or any sector of social media. Black people tend to have smaller audiences and tend to have a smaller reach. It's much more rare to see like a black influencer or a black person with such a large audience.
That might be on your side, but on our side, what we have the amazing Lucas, Anthony Brian Logan, some black guy, Jesse Lee Peterson, one of my favorite creators on YouTube, as he called Monday Matt a beta male, which I have used that clip many times. And you know, it's probably because they just don't have enough computers in Africa. They're living in mud huts. Oh shit, I'm probably gonna get myself banned. That's called a joke, YouTube, and you, Mrs. Racist Chipmunk. Okay, it's called a joke. There are a lot of black creators on YouTube. Maybe you don't have a huge following because you freaking like. If we listened to this entire video, there would be demons raining from the sky because it would be the end of days.
And I feel like it's such a cop-out for people to look at that going on and say, well, you know, it's just because they're not working as hard as, you know, other white people who are doing the exact same thing. And that's really not true. Like, you know, it's my video, I'm going to talk about me for a second, and how I like to talk about politics and things like that, and how I've gotten so many comments. I've gotten a handful of comments from different people who have said, you know, like, you are way undersubbed. You know, I can't believe that more people aren't subscribed to your channel. And I really appreciate those comments because, on one hand, I agree. Like, I totally agree. I cover a lot of the same topics that a lot of bigger, white, leftist, political channels cover. But at the same time, because I'm not seeing those numbers, because I'm not seeing that engagement, because I don't have the same type of reach and the same type of platform, it's so discouraging.
Just because you cover the same topics as other people doesn't mean you should have the same reach. Maybe they're just more talented than you are. That's like if I go, oh, you know, Bering's got 500,000 subscribers. Is it because I'm black? You know, they just like him because he's white and I'm black. It's just retarded. It takes talent, perseverance, and some luck. Maybe he's just a better creator than me. I'm not going to start bitching about it. It was funny, I made the joke that I'm black last video, and so many people were like, oh, you're black? I didn't know that. I'm not black, guys. Okay, it was just a joke. Though actually, no wait, YouTube, yes, I am black. So, you know, you can't ban me, because that's racism. So, yeah, I'm black.
You know, to be real for a moment, there's been multiple times where I've thought to myself, like, should I keep making this channel? Like, should I keep taking out 15 to 20 hours of my week to come up with topics, to do the research to make sure that I'm factually correct in what I'm trying to say? You know, should I take the time to challenge myself, to find inspiration, to, you know, try to talk about the nuanced things that not very many people like to dive into, just for what I'm getting out of it?
Honestly, you should just do it for fun. Very few creators can actually make a living off this platform. I know Monday Matt constantly says, oh, I do this for a full-time career, but I sort of know roughly how much money he's making, so basically his wife is just supporting him, or he's actually got a job on the side, like, say, Uber or something like that. And, hey, maybe you could reduce that from 15 to 20 hours to maybe like 10 hours or 8 hours if you spoke at the speed of a normal person. You know there's something wrong when I can speed it up to 1.37 times the speed and you're just at the level of like a normal speaking person.
And it's not, and how I feel about creating content as a black person, it's very common. You know, there are other black creatives in podcasting, in, you know, influencing people with Instagram or TikTok or whatever, however they're creating their own content. They tend to feel the same starting out because as black people, we are told by our family, by our parents, and by society that we have to work twice as hard to get to the place that a mediocre white person can get to.
Come on, she sounds exactly like them sped up. She's like the fourth chipmunk, but she's like hella racist and started lecturing them about their privilege, so like kicked them out of the group. Guess what? A lot of people feel, there's a ton of white, Mexican, Asian creators feel exactly the same way. Literally, you just make excuses for why you are not succeeding. It's, oh, because I'm black, people just hate black people. That's why I'm not getting views.
It sucks. It sucks. It kind of sucks seeing that, you know, white people who talk about the same type of stuff that you talk about, they're constantly retweeting and sharing each other's stuff. You know, their podcasts, they're constantly inviting each other on. But at least I don't really see those same people taking the time out to discover and uplift a black creative who's talking about the same stuff. I don't ever really see them, you know, highlighting a black creator in their same field.
I can't believe I'm going to have to start defending people like Christy Winters, Steve Shives, Kevin Logan. They don't have to go and search out to find black creators just to shout them out because they're black. It's pure racism. Why? Why do you think you deserve a shout out just because you're black? And I noticed that they're calling it bread tube for like the left-wing progressives. Why do left-wingers, like progressive left-wingers, suck at everything? Bread tube, really? Can you get anything lamer than that?
You know, I don't ever really see a whole lot of white people who use their platforms to uplift and to broadcast the voice of other black creatives. And even outside the realm of politics, that's pretty shitty because, you know, that's using white privilege to benefit non-white people. But especially in the realm of politics, where a lot of the times we're talking about marginalized communities, for these same people to claim that they care about us, but to not ever use their platform to shine their spotlight on us for like a moment, like that just seems hypocritical. You know, like it feels like for some people it's more of virtue signaling to designate themselves as like a good white person rather than actually doing good with their platform.
You know, I actually get pretty demoralized, like, watching some of these videos. Like, this woman actually really dislikes or hates me just because I'm a white guy, just because most of you guys are white people as well, and that it's apparently our civic duty to become white knights. It's just ridiculous. And they actually spout shit like white privilege, like, unironically. I'm sorry, we have no privileges for being white at the moment. We're discriminated against because we're white. We're attacked all the time because we're white. You honestly think white creators have a duty to shout you out because you're black? God damn it. Look, I would honestly get rid of this white privilege, which is just the privilege of being discriminated against. I don't want it. I don't think any white person wants it.
I do want to shout out to Christy Winters because she is the exception that I've seen so far to this rule. Like, she does take the time out to highlight smaller YouTubers. She does like to highlight and showcase marginalized voices on her platform. And, like, it's so rare. You know what I'm saying? Like, I almost feel weird having to congratulate somebody for doing what is supposed to be done, but like I said, like, it just never really happens.
Seriously, white progressives, message, you can never win. Christy Winters shouts out this ungrateful individual, and she's like, oh, thank you, Christy, but you should have just done it anyway, so I don't even need to thank you. Come on. You've made me defend Christy Winters. She shouted you out. She doesn't have to shout you out because you're black. But it's like, oh, thanks, Christy, but you should have done it anyway because you're a white person. Holy shit.
So, like, I have to acknowledge somebody doing what they're supposed to do, especially when so many of their other peers aren't doing that. And again, like, it's so hurtful to see when your white peers and fellow progressives will hate share other conservatives and other bigots more than they will share and uplift other black voices. Like, it's really not that hard to find other progressive leftist black people who agree with y'all. Like, it's really not.
Yeah, it's really not hard, but they probably watched one of your videos and fell asleep halfway through it. And they're sharing those other videos because they think it's, like, funny and they're, like, pointing out the bigots. Yeah. You're going to go on to say that you just block all of them and, hey, you're like Steve Shives. That's why you're so incredibly boring. You can't even talk to the other side. Like, holy shit, I would rather talk to freaking Steve Shives than you. That's really, really sad.
There's no excuses at this point. And I'm not sure if a lot of people in this space prefer to just dunk on people. I don't know if they use their politics to, you know, make themselves feel better, or, you know, because they just like to feel different, you know, like they're just, again, one of the good white people. I'm not sure, like, I don't want to make assumptions or put words in their mouth, but I just see it happening, and it's just weird. It's weird how you would rather hate share, which is broadcasting. When you hate share somebody, you're amplifying the reach that bigot has.
Well, that bigot, as you put them, probably really doesn't want the audience that, like, say, Kevin Logan is going to share to. I follow Kevin Logan on Twitter when the odd chance I'm on there. It's literally him just calling everyone racist and bigots. It's pretty dull. He literally calls anything under the sun racist at this point. You two would probably get along really well. Though, he hasn't shouted you out because you're black, so you're probably not going to like him. And just think how painful this video would be to watch if you watched it at normal speed like I did originally. You may find the voice a touch annoying, but it's either that or, falling asleep halfway through it, or say the end times happening while we're watching it. I kind of don't want this to be the last thing I ever watch before, we all die, so...
Because a lot of the times, like on Twitter, for example, for a lot of these people, a lot of these grifters, these conservatives, these white supremacists, these alt-righters, these centrists that claim to be leftists, I have them blocked. And I follow certain people where 90% of their feed is just retweeting the same blocked accounts. When you could actually be a lot more productive in your political goals by just blocking these people and advocating for something instead of just trying to argue with the other side.
Because of course, don't try and change the other side's mind, don't try and find some common ground, just block them like Steve Shives. And I remember at the start of this video where she said she was just going to talk about herself for a second, and then spent the rest of the video bitching and complaining and talking about herself, and how she just doesn't get shared out because she's black, and, people don't watch her because she's black. It's just, holy shit. You have such a victim complex. It's quite terrifying.
Like, do you understand how frustrating it is to see certain people like Dave Rubin or Steven Crowder or Stephen Molyneux, Lauren Southern, Shoe on Head, Armored Skeptic. Do you know how frustrating it is that people like that get so much financial support from their own side that agrees with them? But as a leftist black creator, I don't get that same type of support from my own side.
Yeah, but their audiences aren't supporting them because they're white. It's not like, oh, I'm going to support you, you're a white conservative, or you're a white liberal. It's not how it works. People like their content, so they support them. Shocker. Now, there's some more of this video. I'm done. It's already reached nearly 17 minutes. I can't speed her up anymore, or it just starts getting really ridiculous, so, yeah. Let me know what you think, guys. You know what? Because Bering hasn't shouted me out, because I'm black. Actually, shit, he did shout me out. Because he hasn't shouted me out again, it's because he hates black people. And that message goes out to every single big creator on this platform. You fucking hate me because I'm black, don't you? What the fuck, guys? Just so ridiculous. If a white person talked like this, they would just be called an insane bigot. It's just ridiculous. I'm sick of this shit. Okay, there's no such thing as white privilege. You don't not have viewers because you're black. Just get the fuck over yourself, okay? But anyway, guys, I'm going to be creating Black TV, so that's going to be coming out hopefully in the next day or so. I have some more videos. Going to be revamping Patreon and shit. It's going to be a good weekend. But anyway, thanks for watching as always, guys, and shout out my channel. I'm black.